we are back out with the Matrix cameras, and I finally managed to talk Craig into coming and doing a live match for me. I say we were meant to do one a couple of weeks ago up at the Laurels fishery, but due to monumental winds that came in, they made it impossible to do. So we come here today to Larford to follow myself through a match. Nice little midweeker, so there's only about 15 to 20 on. But it's actually also a sneaky little practice for my golden reel, which is now 3 days away. So it's my last practice that we're going to have on the match lake. We're going to go through a few different things. I'm going to definitely fish it like a match, as I would, but we're also going to have a little bit of a play today as well. I might go a little bit wayward at some points, but hopefully, so Craig's here, first time out with the Matrix cameras actually doing a match. So he's going to experience the emotional roller coaster, and hopefully I'll be able to share it all with you people as well. But we'll see how we get on. I'm going to go up there, see if we can draw a good peg. So I don't know where I'm fancying today. I just want middle of the road today. I don't want to fly, I don't want an M peg, I just want middle of the bank, just so I can have a little play and see if a few things that are in my head are going to work or not. But say we'll go and draw a peg and we'll see how things go. Right, well what we've drawn, I think we've drawn 50, which today I'm not happy with. I mean, it means pretty much today with the way the pegging is, I've got zero chance of winning the match because we've got 4 M pegs with a lot of room, and that Larford and M pegs, ridiculous. But if I'm completely honest, I'm really happy about it. I mean, for what I'm here for me sneaky practice session for the weekend, this is where I want to be. You know what I mean? If it's pegged how it normally is in the past golden reels, this is always an area that's just potential for producing a few fish. So I've got to be realistic. I'm hoping that, I think for the golden reel, I think 100 to 120 pound could potentially win with the weather that we've got, unless it becomes a mugging match. So that's my target. I mean, I'm sitting here for 100 pound, which by Larford standard is very civilised, but today it's going to be really right. The peg I've drawn is going to give me a nice, a plain boring peg sort of thing, that's going to give me a bit to go at. I mean, I want to work on my short pole, I want to see what that bomb's like over this side, because it's never really been a favoured area for catching on the bomb this, because it's a bit of a soft bottom. But hopefully, through what I've learned today field, maybe I can get a few bites on that hard bottom, on that soft squidgy bottom out there. Now that's my main aim for today, is to see if the way I want to fish the bomb's right or not. So basically I'm going to go quite a simple match. So I'm going to start on pellet short, which is it's how you start here, just to see what's feeding. And I'm going to weigh up, I'm going to see what people are catching and decide whether it's worth feeding that bomb straight away or not, whether it's worth sitting back, letting the fish sort of settle where they want to settle, then start putting a bit of bait in. So it's just about feeling my way in today. So obviously the edges, we're at Larford, so the edges are going to be a massive thing as well. There's a couple of things that I want to have a play about with down the edge to see if it's right, because they're quite tricky fish. They work in 2 ways at Larford. They either come in en masse, and they're a little bit easy to catch, but they waft your bait about, or they come in ones very, very late on, and they can be a lot more difficult to catch. So depending what's going to go on today, I think it's going to be a not many fish coming in the edge day. So I've got 2 different ways I want to fish the edge that I'll talk about while I'm fishing, just to see what's the best of getting that bite and making the most of me very few visits that I'll potentially get through the day. It's going to be about catching, if I get 4 visits in that last hour, making sure I catch them 4 fish, because they're potentially £10 a piece, or £40. You're never going to sniff at that, even though it's only 4 bites. So I just want to feel I'm making the most of everything today, get a few little silly ideas out my head, and hopefully formulate a bit of a plan for the weekend. It's similar weather what we're going to have, maybe a little bit hotter at the weekend. So I think some shallow fishing and some mugging may come into it, but I'm not going to go down that route today. I mean, even if it changes later and they all pop up, I'm going to try not to get a shallow rig out, just because, I mean, we can do that. Shallow fishing and muggings, not basic, but I'm confident with that. I can do it if they pop up. So I just want to play about with the feeding on the bottom and see what's right, see what's there to catch, see how many F1s are there as well, more importantly. Because I've heard there's quite a few small F1s getting caught. So I'm going to have a little play and see how we go. But I think we've got another 15 minutes to get ready. So I've got my nets drying out. I'm going to whack them in the lake now and then we're good to start. Right, so dead typical for Larford, we're going to start short because that's just what you do here. What it'll do, it'll give me a little chance, more than anything, just to see what's going on. I mean, see what people are catching. Say, I'm going to ignore the end pegs. The end pegs are actually gone straight in and started mugging and all sorts, so they're going to have a silly day. But I just want to see how in the main area of the lake, how they're feeding and whether they are or not. So I've started in about 4.5 foot. So I've gone down a bit. I'm still on the rocks and on the messy stuff, which is a bit of a pain on this bank. So you've got lots of bricks and rubble and all sorts that you're fishing on, but at least it's a hard bottom. So if I go literally a metre further, fish down there then? If I go a metre further, then I'm into a very, very soft bottom, which I don't want to fish on that. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to put up with the troubles of getting stuck on the odd brick and snagged now and again by fishing on the rubble, as opposed to them bubbling and kicking the bait up all over the place. I'd rather fish on this hard stuff. So I've started in 4.5 foot, and dead basic. I've just literally cupped in 10 pellets, 10 6mm, and I've got an 8mm on the hook, something selective, just to see if I can get a proper and first chuck. I mean, there's a few fish been mooching about. I've seen the odd one in the edge and the odd one top into there's fish in the area, so it's worth just a quick little go with me, half dozen pellets, just to see what's feeding. The lad next to me's gone straight in and hooked on. I think he's just lost it, but there's some fish there. It's surprising as well. It's quite windy today. It's not towing. It's actually sitting quite nice. I put quite a big rig on there. I put a 4/16. Yeah, I actually went with a carbon stem just for a bit more durability, because I've got a nice strung out rig. But I've gone with a 4/16 in 4.5 foot, which is quite a bit of weight, because I thought it was going to be flying through, but it's actually not. It's actually sat, I mean, pretty nice. I'm probably caught on a brick. That's probably why. But yeah, it's all about being stable. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter that I've got a heavy float on, because I'm not. No, see, that's all nice. I'm not actually going to catch anything through the water anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. So a heavy rig should keep it right where I want it to be. So I've cupped in my few pellets. So I've got a big one on the hook, a big 8mm. And what that allows me to do, because it's a nice sloping bottom there, is that to get my rig set sort of perfect so my bait's showing up, is I can put it a little bit further out than what I plumbed up, where it's a bit deeper, and it'll actually sink my float. And I can just edge it back just so I can see my bristle just sat nice. So I'm seeing about 3 or 4 mil of bristle, and I know I'm dead tight to my hook bait then. So by having a quite nice stable rig with a bit of shot down the bottom end, it keeps it in place. So it's not towing too much today, so the trap's lovely and set, if I'm honest. I'm really happy with how that's sitting at the minute. So I think that'll be mainly due, like I say, to a bit of muck on the bottom, a few rocks and a bit of rubble. Oh, it felt quite nice when I plumbed up, but I do think it's sticking on things, but so that's hopefully going to be a good thing. It's going to give me a better presentation than if I fish on the silt, and it'd be pulling through quicker. But also, little indication then. Yeah, it wouldn't have anything to hold on if I was on that nice smooth sand. So that little indication then, that looked strange, to be honest. I was actually on 2 pegs away the other day with Andy. We came and did some filming, and I was amazed at the fish that were short. It wasn't necessarily lots of big carp that were short. There were quite a few F1s, and they were quite big as well. So we came last year and there were lots of probably 3 to the pound F1s, I'm going to say. And they weren't worth catching. Whereas now, I thought we caught 5 or 6 the other day, and 4 or 5 of them were a pound. I mean, they were well worth catching fish if it's a poor one in that first spell of the match, just to catch 40, 50 pound. So they're definitely not worth avoiding. It's worth catching a few of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a quick go now with an 8mm. Just start with an 8mm on the hook. See if I get a quick one. And if I don't get a bite in the next 5 minutes off a proper fish, I'm just going to put a 6mm on and just see what's there. See, that was a little weird indication then, but whether that was a small one or not, I don't know. Let's check that pellet. He's all good. Yeah, I'm not putting much in, just put half a dozen in every go. I don't want to give them loads of options. Definitely at the minute as well, same as always, I'm not feeding anywhere else. There's no point whatsoever in feeding any other lines until I can see what's going on. So a lot of lads at the minute are in the, seem to be doing the same. There's not many pellets getting fed out, which I like. So hopefully it'll leave the fish out there, and as soon as we feed it, they'll be on it with a bit of luck. In the right place. So that was caught then, just on a little, the odd little stone, the odd little pebble, the odd little house brick. So they can be a bit of a problem, but they're definitely worth fishing on. So just to give a look at that, that's watched it going down. That's far off the end. That was a little F1 that. So straight away, I'm going to swap to a 6mm. Just so there's a little bit more chance of actually catching whatever's down there. So you do find it, if you're going to get a carp, you get one very, very, very quick. It's within 2-3 minutes, you're normally going to get a big one. So Reese is just up on next to me, and same again in F1. So it's definitely, that's what seems to be in the area at the minute. So that F1 actually took it right on the settle as well. So very, very typical. See, they are, they're not tiny, they're a pound. Well worth catching. So what I'm hopefully going to do, I'm going to spend, I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on it. I'm definitely going to spend 20 minutes, maybe half an hour on it, regardless of what happens. And then after 20 minutes, I'll decide whether it's time to feed that long line as well, the bomb line. I'm not doing anything else today. I'm literally fishing short, bomb and edge. I'm not going to bother with anything else because so there's no life in anything else. There may be a bit of shallow fishing, a bit of mugging, but I mean, I can't do that today with the conditions. It's not right, and I've got no intentions whatsoever of fishing a long pole on deck because the silt is horrendous and it's too hard to catch or too hard to get clean bites on. So I won't be doing that no matter what. So I'm just going to focus on the 3 areas that I think are going to give me the best chance of doing a weight. That's what we're going to focus on today, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit. So already, just by watching everyone else, there's definitely an odd fish to be caught on this. So it's always worth doing that short line on it. Every commercial, it's worth a quick indication then, a quick look, just to see. Go on, have it, you little. It's definitely a tiny fish that one. So I've got some serious kit on there. I've got a big 16 to 0.15. I've got no little delicate hook lengths. Everything's geared towards landing anything that we hook because it's pointless doing anything else. I don't want to hook a 10 pounder and lose it. But it may mean that I need a second rig for catching small fish potentially. It might be worth a nice little an 0.13 and an 18 hook. I'll catch a few more if we're desperate, but so I don't know whether there's life in fishing that way or not. Shall see. All that seems to be getting caught is those little F1s. I've not seen anyone else go in and catch a big fish yet, a proper carp. We'll see how it goes. We'll plug along with this and see what happens. had, we're about an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes in. And it's really, really hard. I never expected it to be like this. So I think I've had half a dozen F1s, 5 or 6 F1s on that short line, which is about right. I mean, there just seems to be no carp getting caught whatsoever. Everyone that's catching fish is just fishing, catching small fish. It seems that the carp are very, very much having an off day, and my rig's, we have a liner then, is that on? No, liner. Yeah, my rig's completely wrong for it. But at the same time, it's whether the carp are just having an off day or whether I should be fishing much lighter rigs, catching these smaller fish. So I know there are options there now, which is, that's what I wanted to cover on that short line. I'm not going to scramble about and set a small fish rig up, not just yet, because there's no point. You know what I mean? I've put my eggs in that basket. I want to see if carp feed there late on. But it's definitely proven to be a weird one. So, because it was fishing so difficult, I caught a few fish short, and then as it does, it sort of fizzled out, went to nothing. So once it started fizzling and the indication stopped, and they sort of stopped for everyone as well, I've just started pinging that bomb line. As I've not fed many, I'm feeding sort of 5 or 6 every go, not too many at all. I'm trying to feed 2 lots of bait, cast over the top of it, sit and wait. But I'm having nice quick casts. I'm probably having a cast I'm leaving it a little bit with it being tricky, probably 4 or 5 minutes, just to see. And I'm just starting to get an odd liner now, not too many, but an odd liner. There's definitely an odd fish there. What I'm not seeing, which is a little bit worrying, is there's no fizzing whatsoever, which I really expected that bottom to be ripping up by now, because it's so soft out there that they give themselves away very, very quickly, that if they're on that line or not. But with the way it's fishing, it's quite typical of these big carp matches when they're having an off day. And you've just got to be patient. Not lose your head. When it's fishing like this, 2 fish and you're flying. You're right back in it. I think, from what I've heard, 3 or 4 fish is best, 3 or 4 proper fish, and they're off one of the 2 end pegs. So in the actual match itself, away from the end pegs, the normal match, if you like, you need 1 fish and you're right up there. So it's just about being patient and making sure that when they do feed, you catch it, rather than skipping about all over the place and trying lots of different things. So I'm just going to be really, really, really patient and just hopefully get 3 or 4 bites on this, maybe over the course of 2 hours, who knows. It's about keeping your eyes open and watching what everyone else is catching and making your decisions from there, rather than skipping about like a headless chicken and putting nothing in the net and spreading bait all over the place. So I'm just going to be really patient. I'm going to fish like a carp angler sort of thing, just put my bed out there, sit and wait and see what happens. So it feels like the weather could change and it could go a bit flat soon. The wind's definitely starting to die a little bit, and that could bring some other options into it. But for the minute, I'd say it's about just being nice and patient and seeing if I can get a bite. I'm going to keep with regular casts and feeding sort of 2 lots of 5 per cast, of 10 pellets per cast. And I'm feeding them and then put my bomb right over the top, or just past them I'm trying to put it, just so I've laid my trap and then mine's right at the back of it. And with a bit of luck, that should give me the best chance of putting a fish in the net. But it's a bit worrying, because at least everyone's in the same boat. If it was just me not catching, I'd be flapping right now, but it does seem to be everyone's in the same boat and no one's really putting any fish in the net, so other than the lads fishing for small fish. So at the moment, definitely it's a very much a carpy, patient type match. With a bit of luck, some of them great big fat ones are going to come and have a chew rather soon. hard to do though, sitting there this slow in that final. It's hard, that, like really, really hard. But it might be the way. Right, well I'm now halfway in, and it is without doubt the hardest I've seen Larford for flipping heck for a couple of years. I've never seen it in this sort of mood before, but we're just starting to see signs now that there's the odd fish starting to move about. I've spent the last, probably the last hour and a bit on the bomb, hour and a half on the bomb, and I've had 2 fish. But them 2 fish are more than what anyone else is catching. No one's catching, again, away from the end pegs, no one's really catching. So it's pointless skipping about. I'm just happily sitting there and I'm getting the odd bite. They've been 2 decent fish, so I'm fairly happy with how things are going. But now's coming the time that things are going to change. You know what I mean? There's no indication then? There's no life in the bomb. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely not going to produce me a weight. It's just a tick over thing. So what I want to be doing is keeping an eye on these lads now. That Craig on the end, he's just caught 2. Reese next to me just fed down the edge. So it's watching things like that, not making the decision yourself. What I never want to be is the guinea pig. I would never want to be the first one to do something radical sort of thing. You know what I mean? I want to watch what they're doing. And if the fish start coming in the edge, there's no reason why I can't feed and get a bite straight away or get them in just as quick. The last thing I want to do is waste time being the first one in the edge if they're not coming in. I mean, unless I was on a special peg, then there's no need to. So if I'm sitting back and waiting for them to tell me what to do, that's the plan at the minute. So I'm going to give this another half hour on the bomb. Hopefully with a bit of luck, a bit more regular casting. I'm going to cast every 2 or 3 minutes now and have a couple of quick casts. Just feed a bit more regular but with less bait. See if I can make something happen just for half an hour. And then as soon as these lads start catching 1 or 2 fish down the edge, I'm going to put my first little bit of bait down in and see what happens. But so at the minute it really is such a moody Larford. I've spoke to Jordan and Andy. They're both on, do you know what I mean, quite favourable areas where I'd be happy to be sat. And they're catching absolutely nothing. Jordan's yet to have a fish. Andy's caught a couple of skimmers. I think the only people really catching it, there's a couple of anglers in the bowl. I think Tom and, I don't know who's on the end peg. There's 2 anglers up there, they've caught probably 30, 40 pound, so they're well ahead. Well, that was to be expected. So as long as I can stay ahead of the anglers around here, then I feel I'm doing the job that I need to be doing. I would say still, it's patient as ever. There's one just swimming past there. Just seen that before, there's just been the odd one starting to swim. So they're definitely starting to have a look, little signs like that. Seeing the odd fish moving close. It's not a sign to panic and come straight in on it, but it just shows that it always happens on these carpy lakes, something changes. I mean, at some point things just start changing and then they will have a little feed. So definitely now I've got the heron approach. I'm waiting for something to happen and I'm going to jump in on it as soon as it does. But for now, another half hour being patient. There's a few fish swimming out there now as well. So the lake's definitely starting to change, and hopefully, so we should catch a few fish in the later stages. But at the minute, it's still definitely a real tough one. Right. So finally, so we're now 3 hours in, and I've just spent 15 minutes on the bomb with them driving me mad because I've had 3 chucks within, it wasn't happening immediately, but I've had 3 swim past and give me big silly liners, so I've had to reel me bomb in. But that's been the signal of it's time to sneak a little bit of bait in the edge. Because definitely there's an odd fish moving. So I put my first bit of bait in 5 minutes ago, I've just seen one over it. So with a bit of luck now, I've not fed much at all, I've just fed a tiny little lump of micros and corn. And I've gone over it just with a single bit of corn, just nice and delicate. Do you mean it's not worth putting big piles of bait in, great big pots, because there's simply not the amount of fish there, and if they do come in, because they're coming on in such small numbers, if I put a great big pot in and loads of bait, then the chance of me getting a bite is a lot slimmer. So instead, just a little sneaky little pile. So just in the swale, just to the left of me float as well then. So hopefully we'll nail that. It was a bit loud, wasn't it? But I've got a bit of a different rig on this as well, in that I've not got a rig, I've not plumbed up rather, so I'm dead depth. I've plumbed up nearly a whole float over depth on this, because what I found a lot when I've been up here the last few weeks is that the fish don't like coming or touching a line. As soon as they touch a line, they're out your peg. So by fishing sort of over depth, if you like, what I can do with a nice little strung out rig, I can actually lay it so it goes right down the slope. So it's going away from my float, you know what I mean? The fish are going to get to my bait. Little indication then. Yeah, the fish are going to get to my bait a long time before they get to my float, which with a bit of luck means I get a bite rather than a spook fish out the peg, or it gives me more chance of getting a bite than the fish just quickly spooking and me not getting a bite at all. So whether that's dead right or not, I'm not sure, but it's definitely something I've been playing with a bit recently, quite a bit recently, and it seems to be more productive than the usual way I'd fish the edge when I'm fishing up to something. So I'm not seeing anything there yet, so I was a bit dubious at whether to feed the edge. I've not seen anyone catching many. Craig's had 3 or 4 on the end, which is a completely different situation to what we've got. Oh, did I see a little swirl then? Oh, there's fish in my peg then. But it's in and straight out that was. It didn't settle at all. It's literally swam through my peg and gone straight out, so it's not happy about being there. There's one there I could have mugged if I had a mugging rig. But at least, here we go, we're just starting to see signs now of fish starting to think about it, which is all we want. I think another one actually. Oh. Let's cut that little bit out. That's me being really should have give that a little bit then. But hey ho, that's still a good sign. At least someone's starting to have a look. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to plug away with that. I'm just going to keep setting my trap. So I've got nearly 2 hours left, or just under 2 hours left. So if I keep setting my trap now, just with a tiny little pile of bait, and be nice and patient, I only need a visit every 10 minutes. And if I can get that, and I can make sure I get a bite like I just did then, because that was, everything was right then, other than me not giving them sections, which I don't really like to do. But today with it fishing harder, I definitely should have. So yeah, I'm going to whiz that pole round so I can stick that up with the back of it if I need to next time. So I'm just going to feed that one little trap. I mean, one little pile of micros with a bit of corn in, that's all they're going to get. No big pots if I can help it, other than if I need to rest the peg. And we'll see how we go from there. But finally, things seem to be starting to happen. Right, well, we're now coming into the last 45 minutes. 45 minutes I think we're up to now. And if I'm honest, everything's a flipping mess and I'm getting a right knock on now. Because I'm actually getting an occasional visitor down the edge. So I've been down the edge for probably the last 35 minutes. I've sort of committed and I've just sat there and started waiting. Yeah, and I've had a couple. I mean, I've had 2 about £10 a piece. I've had a roach and I've missed a couple of bites as well that I should have missed, but I'm blaming it on the wind because the way I'm fishing my rig, because it's such a light rig, but I want it really laid along the bottom. I need it to be nice and stable. I need to be able to cling onto it and keep it nice and stable to maintain a tight line to my hook bait, but I can't do it. It's an absolute mess. I mean, that wind, it's proper whizzing round all over the place. And I just can't keep it still, so when one is actually coming into my peg, I'm having to wait a long time for a visit, and when one does actually arrive, often I'm missing it just because I'm not as accurate as I need to be. My little tiny piles there, it's all lovely, the fish are straight on it, but on many occasions my bait isn't, which completely defeats the point. You know what I mean? I'm attracting it to one place. I just got pooed on, I think then.
You did, yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure I got pooed on my back. Lovely. That like sums up today, doesn't it? Pooed on, can't catch fish. Don't know, should we go back to Hayfield? That was solid here last week. But no, I think I've still just got to be patient. Hopefully this wind dies down, so you don't need long at all. So it's still fishing shocking. I mean, it's still without doubt the worst I have ever seen Larford in the mood it's in. So hopefully, if I just get, all I need is a little half-hour spell of calmness, and I can put 2 or 3 more in the net, and say 2 or 3s, it's £20 easy. So it's very small little differences that are going to put a big weight in my net. I just need to make sure I get them bites by being patient. That said, I don't really know what to do now. Other than set my trap and sit and wait, there's not a lot more I can do. Nothing else is being caught anywhere else in the lake. No one's catching on a bomb, that's not kicked in, and no one's really catching short either, only an odd F1. So it's become the match that exactly how we expected it to be, just with less fish feeding than I thought there would be. So I'm going to plug on away. Hopefully we'll get a little arrival. And so I'm going to try my very hardest just for realistic targets. If I can catch 3, then I'm happy. That's all I'm looking to catch now, another 2 or 3 fish. And then, to be fair, I'll be quite happy with that return without its fish today, but we'll see how it goes. Right, well we are done, and that was horrible. It's been so frustrating not being able to do what I want down that edge. There's definitely been fish there late on, but the wind's just made it a bit of a mess of one. So we caught a few. I think I ended up with 5 in the edge, which I'd have took that at the start probably in this area, but there were 10 to be caught, I think. You know what I mean, if it had been nice and I'd have fed a little bit better, I think there were 10 fish definitely that, you know what I mean, potentially £100, who knows how big they are. There's some big old fish, but other than that, it's been a nice little learning day. It's definitely taught me that patience is everything here. It's about not panicking, just sitting waiting for that bite and just trying to put a few fish in the net at the start. You know what I mean, don't try and catch £100, which you're going to need to win in the first 10 minutes. I mean, it's just choose the right methods, catch a few fish short, maybe catch them on the bomb and catch them down the edge. I think that's going to be the way to go. The only thing that's threw a spanner in the works is Dan 2 pegs down, who's fished for small fish, and he might have put £20 in the net in the first hour and a half maybe. So I'm dead interested. I'm going to go watch him weigh in, dead interested to see what weight of small fish he's got, which that could be an option. Definitely, it's something I've got to think about, but if I'm completely honest, I don't think it's a way to go to win. But so other than that, I'm happy with how things have gone. I've definitely just learnt that I just need to be a little bit more accurate, a bit more patient down them edges, and say hopefully just turn them bites into fish, or make sure that everything I hook as well, make sure I land, because they've been right weird today. I've actually been I've been ripped off 3 times today where they've just torn into the middle of the lake. All 3 of them 100% in their mouth, definitely. We've seen them bin up. And they've literally gone and ripped my hook length off. And I'm fishing proper gear. I'm on 020 to 016, so it's proper kit. And they're just carrying on. Maybe I should be chasing them a bit more, being a little bit more delicate, or maybe I should go heavier with something a little bit heavy elastic-wise and just get them in. Just really not be gentle with them. Just hook them and make sure I land every single fish I hook. That's definitely what I'm going to take from it more than anything with me edge fishing today. But right now we're going to pack up really quick because it sounds like we're going to have a lovely drive home with the Alden M6 being closed. But we'll have a quick weigh in first, see what we got. So other than that, I'm fairly happy with how it's gone, and fingers crossed for next week we can be down that way with a lot more fish. Right, well, we just weighed in. I've weighed in 67.15, which, to be fair, the starter wanted more than that, yeah. But I'm quite happy with that. I think it's the best, other than all the M pegs, which I can't ask for more than that. The way it's fished, it has been rock hard. Like I said, the hardest I've ever seen Larford. But, excuse aside, there was still some fish to be caught. I mean, with a different match, a little bit less wind, there was a lot of fish to be caught there. I should have fished a completely different match. I should have mugged them and fished down the edge if the conditions allowed. I mean, it wasn't possible with the way it's been. But, other than that, I'm fairly happy. So the only thing I want to check, we're going to go and see downway now, is I want to see how many small fish got caught, what sort of weight he caught in them little fish. That's definitely going to be a big influencing factor of whether they're worth fishing for in the first 2 hours or not. But so that depends on the day. I don't think it's going to be that sort of day. But other than that, so I quite enjoyed it. That edge has pickled my brain, but it's been a definite learning day in knowing how, just keeping in tune, knowing how accurate I've got to be. So accuracy is everything at this venue in making sure you get a bite. And a little weird thing as well that we've just been talking about is it's the only venue I know where the carp don't come in from the deeper water. They come in from sort of, our peg's been there, they come in that way. So that's a big thing I'm going to learn in the way I lay my rigging is going to be really important. But other than that, hopefully you learned a bit. I definitely have. And with a bit of luck, we get a good peg on Saturday and we can go on with a big fat check again. But we'll see what happens.
What can I say? Come up here and pick up your 50 grand and that lovely gold trophy. Jamie Hughes!